Gather up your projects, settle in your favorite spot. It's time to stitch with Sarah at her stitchy Camelot. Let's celebrate each other, this community we've got. It's time to get down to Sarah's stitchy spot.
Hello everyone, my name is Sarah. Welcome to my FlossTube channel, where we will discuss and celebrate all things cross-stitch. Grab your favorite beverage, get comfortable, and join me
at Sarah's stitchy spot.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and this is FlossTube number 29. I would like to welcome each and every one of you to my FlossTube channel. As I do at the beginning of every video, I want to give a big shout out and lots of love to my husband Stan for writing and performing the intro song that you just heard. If you are new to my FlossTube channel, I would like to welcome you and hope that you will subscribe, like, ring the bell, share, and do all the things that we do on FlossTube. For my returning viewers and subscribers, we're going to do a WIP parade, woo! Or as I like to call it, the March of the Laundry Baskets. So I do want to get started because, well, you know, there's just a few WIPs to go through. But I did want to share a couple of things with you. I've had some beautiful cross-stitch pieces sent to me by other stitchers that I would like to show. And so I'm going to do those right here at the beginning. And I have two right now from Brijin. And the first one is Friendships Are the Flowers of Life. And this was a chart that was in one of the Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazines in the spring 2023 issue, and I'm going to be showing that across the screen as I talk. And then the second one by Brijin is Adventure Awaits, which, as you all know, I am working on and will show you later as a WIP for as a birth announcement for my grandson Vince. And Brijin has a beautiful finished framed project that has already gone to the person that she gifted it to. So thank you, Brijin, for sending those to me. The second one is from Susan, and this is also an Adventure Awaits birth announcement, and it's by Vlada Cross Stitch. She's on Etsy. That is VLADAX Stitch on Etsy. And I will show that across, and it is similar, but just a little bit different, which shows that variety is the spice of life. The third piece is from Diane, and if you guys remember back a couple of videos, I showed you her first stitched piece, and this is her first finished, fully finished stitches. And these are from Stitching with the Housewives, and she stitched these on 14 count black Aida using DMC. And I think you'll all recognize this has been a very popular pattern from Stitching with the Housewives. The fourth piece is Carolyn, and it is her interpretation and work on friends and family, which I showed you as a finished piece last week. This was by, I think it was Linens and Things, and now, of course, Fox and Rabbit. It was one of their yearly stitch-alongs. She did it in a variegated DMC, and I just love what she's done across the top, and showed it has initials with her blended family. And I thought that was quite lovely and inspiring. And then the last piece is by Deborah, and she has a finish on Christmas Delivery by Cottage Garden Samplings. I wrote her and told her I was actually quite envious of her finish. I think I had hoped that I would finish mine in the month of July, but that did not happen as I was doing my Christmas stitching. But congratulations, Deborah, on your finish. So I just wanted to, again, make sure that I shared those pieces with all of you because it's always wonderful to see what each other are stitching on and what we've accomplished. So I'm going to get started, and I'm sticking just one little fully finished project in here, and that is I showed this as a finish last week, and it's from the Prairie Schooler book number 28, and I just made a little pillow out of it, and doesn't it have a little interesting shape down here? You know, I thought I could just hold that and you'd never notice, but anyway, you know how I'm fully transparent. But I don't know how that happened. It's just kind of cute though. So I will put this in a dough bowl during the holidays, and quite proud of that. I used a little of the Lady Dot Petite Chenille around the edges, and so that is a fully finished Christmas piece that came out of stitching Christmas in July. So, and that's the back fabric again. So, Prairie Schooler, yay. Okay, so now we're going to go into WIPs. I would love to tell you they are all organized with great care and that they're ironed. But guys, truly, if I ironed that many pieces, I would be broken out in hives or some other ailment. But I have some organization to them, and we're just going to jump in and get started. Okay, so my first one is actually a new start. This was for Cross Stitch Summer Camp 2023 that's hosted by Sherri, Colorado Cross Stitcher. And my choice was to stitch Always Forward by Mrs. Flossie. And this is the prompt for the month of August for Cross Stitch Camp was to stitch something that you've never done before. And so this is my first, probably will not be my last, chart by Mrs. Flossie. And I am stitching this on a 37 count Russian tea cake by Legacy. And this is my progress so far. I am using Roxy Floss Co. floss in the color Wednesday. And I have done a little fussy stitching right around in here. Her called for was for 3 different colors. And so I'm trying to use, where she used the red, the lighter red, I am trying to stitch with just the red in the variegation, and then putting the darker in. And then in the script here, I'm just kind of stitching along. And then there's going to be the cardinal, as you can see right here, and I will try to do the same thing, use the darker parts of the floss, which is almost, it's a burgundy, almost to black, and then for the beak. And but it is lovely to stitch. I do have a great fondness for Russian tea cake by Legacy, and I like the 37 count. So that was my new start and the first WIP to kick things off. And this is, of course, Always Forward, Never Backwards is a quote from Jean Lee that we all try to live by. So thank you, Jean, for that. Okay, and this is in a Made by Me project bag. And this was fabric that I got in Paris. So, okay. My next WIP is my 2 threads a day, and that is Ruskin's Penguins by Modern Folk Embroidery. You certainly will see a lot of Modern Folk Embroidery in the WIP parade today. And I am stitching this on 36 count eucalyptus from Fox and Rabbit, and making great progress. I'm using the called for Roxy Floss Co. And as you can see, the border is all the way around. I've just got some white to fill in. I'm working on those snowflakes, and then I'm just gonna have the heart and the 2 penguins left. So that is Ruskin's Penguins by Modern Folk Embroidery, and that is my 2 threads a day piece. Okay. My next piece is M&A 1853. Let's get that back a little bit. This is by Needlework Press. I am stitching this on 36 count Heartland using the called for overdyed floss. And this did get some, I think I have touched this one fairly recently because I was working on that big red flower. Again, this is one that is it's not very big, and I could see it as a 7-day focus piece and getting that knocked out as a finish. So that's M&A 1853 by Needlework Press. And it is a joy to stitch on. Okay, next we have Sweetheart Hill by Plum Street Samplers. I started this for Stan and I. Our anniversary is in October. I don't know that I would have it finished by then, but it was one that I really wanted to start, and I think a couple of other viewers have also started it, and one I think for a 50th wedding anniversary. I am stitching this on 36 count Steel Blue by XG Designs, and I'm using the called for overdyed flosses, and this is my progress so far. A few dangling threads, but again, this interestingly enough does stitch up quickly because I don't think I've stitched that many days on it, and but I love it. So that is Sweetheart Hill by Plum Street Samplers. You know, it's one of those things when you we all talk about it, but when you open up these bags to get ready for a WIP parade, and you see the fabrics, the floss, these incredible charts. Oh, you just don't know which way to turn. You just want to start stitching. My next one is let's see, this one is Summer at Cherry Hill, and this is With Thy Needle and Thread, Brenda Gervais, and here is the pattern. I have seen some gorgeous finishes on this, and actually saw Tanya's piece at her home of the Scarlet House. She has stitched this as well. I am stitching it on a 36 count Stars Hollow Blend by R&R Reproductions, and I'm using the called for overdyed floss. And this is by Progress. I don't think I've done anything on it since I showed it last as a WIP. I am concentrating just on getting this tree trunk down because it is on a page break, which makes it a ripe place for a mistake. So that is Summer at Cherry Hill Farm, and it is living in my new project bag, and this was from Lorraine, which is beautiful. It is a summery bag for a summery piece. Okay. Next, I have another Modern Folk Embroidery. It is Real Comfort. And I am stitched, let's see, let's get the chart first. There. Sarah of Sew Me Sarah just had a beautiful finish on this recently. And I think she was doing it as a 2 threads a day piece, if I remember correctly. I'm stitching it on a 36 count platinum Edinburgh, and I am using the Silks for You PR123. And this is my progress so far. At one point I was making it my 2 threads a day, and may go back to that, but Ruskin's penguins were calling to me, and so it won the slot. But I love this silk, and I love the color, and as you will see, I have another piece started with the same color of silk. I had bought a hank of it. So that is Real Comfort by Modern Folk Embroidery. And it lives in my bag from Sew Me Sarah, which is beautiful. Thank you, Sarah. Okay. The next piece is from Modern Folk Embroidery, is, and I always have to read this, Birds from Bernard's Books. And this was a piece that was used as a fundraiser for Carolyn of Evertotes when her husband ran the marathon last November, the New York Marathon. I am stitching this on a 36 count Brenda's Brew by R&R Reproductions, and I am using the same Silk for You PR123. And this is my progress here. And this one just shows some beautiful variegation in that, which is just gorgeous. So that's Birds from Bernard's Books by Modern Folk Embroidery. Another piece that would make a lovely 2 threads a day, and may jump in there and do that. So the next piece is Strawberry Manor Mystery Salve. This is from Teresa Kogut. I am a member of her Patreon. I started this after it had started, and so I've got a lot to do, but I really like it. I love the colors in it, and I am stitching it on a 36 count Summer Khaki by XU Designs, and I'm using the called for DMC and overdyed floss. And this is my progress so far on that. Now this was last year's Mystery Stitch Along. Later I will be showing you this year's, which is A Simple Life, which is also part of her Patreon. So that is Strawberry Manor by Teresa Kogut. The next piece is Seeking Refuge by the Scarlet House. I dearly love this. And I am stitching this on a 36 count Mayflower Mocha by R&R Reproductions. And this is my progress so far. So that is Seeking Refuge by the Scarlet House. Okay. The next piece is, one of my favorites. I actually worked on this yesterday. This is Antonio Roselli Garcia by Jan Hicks Creates. There is just something so refreshing and delicate and beautiful about this sampler. And I enjoyed stitching on it so much yesterday. I am stitching it on a 36 count Hint of Orange by Extra Designs using Vicki Clayton silks. And this is where I am. I have taken, this alphabet is all the way across. And I did work on the border up here. That border's a little fussy because it's got, the flower has 3 colors in it. But it is worth it. I mean, look at those colors. They are just exquisite. And I also purchased Jan's sampler, Louise Chappelle. It's a French sampler, I believe, and I'm looking really forward to getting that started. I have this in this Stitch What You Love bag that was sent to me by Julie of Jane and Running with Scissors, Stitching with Jane and Julie. Julie's daughter Katherine makes these, and so that's a beautiful home for this gorgeous sampler. The next piece is Chester's Place by Whistle Stop Stitcher Designs. This was actually, if I remember the date correctly, I started this on my birthday, yes, in 2021. It was a fundraiser to raise money to help a cat that needed some dental work. And I think it's Jennifer's sister that works with the pets. But how could I not get something that's called Chester's Place? And I love the saying on it, until one has loved an animal, a part of one's soul remains unawakened. So I did get to touch this one before I showed it to you guys. And so I worked on this a couple of days ago. I have been working on the quote. I put some stitches in the house and the border. It's not a very big piece. This is it all the way across and not too much further down from the, and I'm stitching it on 36 count Ren by Picture This Plus. That is actually, it appears to be a fat half. So there will be lots left over for more pieces to start. So that's Chester's Place by Whistle Stop Designs, Whistle Stop Stitchery, Stitchers Designs. And of course, it's got Chester's name in it. So I think the cat's name was Chester. But this, I actually put some stitches in. And this was a piece that I got at Sampler Symposium when Megan and Vicki from Needlework Press gave their talk. And this is a parlor pincushion. And I had started it while I was there, and I love it. And I just really hadn't put any stitches in. So I did put some in. Let's see if I can get it right side up. Yeah. So I finished more of this star pattern, got the green in here, finished the red here, and started the red up here. But this was a full kit. We got the threads, we've got the materials to make it into a pincushion, and I just love the fabric. The fabric is actually a 32 count chestnut, and I am stitching it 1/2. So that is a parlor pincushion by Needlework Press. This next piece I also worked on recently, which is Have Courage by Cottage Garden Samplings. I am doing this for hashtag Pam's Survival Sal to celebrate 30 years of being cancer-free for Pam of Just Stitching Along. I think Lisa of Lost in Stitches is also stitching this piece. I am stitching it on a 36 count hog bristle by Fox and Rabbit, and I'm using the called for overdyed floss. And I worked on the bird, got all the breasts done, and most of the fill in here done on the black. I've become quite a fan of Cottage Garden Samplings. They're just beautiful charts. So, and this lives in my Made by Me project bag. This is the one where I used the sampler, which was Eliza M. Stone by Whilst Iris Naps. Thank you, Christina, for this beautiful chart. I made the mistake of putting interfacing on the back. I don't even know why I did, which sort of made it cattywampus, and it was not suitable for framing, but I love it for this bag. And it was a fundraiser at the time it was sold for breast cancer awareness in the UK, and what better use of it than to house the Have Courage piece. Because I think of all of you, as I have mentioned, and keep you in my heart when I'm stitching, that have gone through female reproductive cancers and are celebrating your survival, or have lost people to those cancers. The next piece, I also did put some stitches in. As I said, I was going to try to do before I did the WIP parade, and that is Pet All the Dogs by Teresa Kogut. I purchased this at Acorn and Threads. I think this was my first trip to Acorn and Threads. I am stitching it on a 36 count Aspen by Weeks Dye Works, and I'm using the called for floss. And this is my progress. There we go. So I did work on these flowers right in here. I started working on this alphabet. I have a border that matched down at the bottom. That's exciting. And again, of course, Chester's in my heart when I stitch on this. So it's Pet All the Dogs by Teresa Kogut. And it did get some attention very recently. The last piece in this basket, and then I will stop and get another basket, is Tom's Foolery by Hands Across the Sea. And it also got some love since I last filmed. I am stitching this on a 36 count Ghostly Shadows by XU Designs, and I'm using the called for DMC. And I worked primarily on this area right in here. So I got, I think, this flower done, a couple of the birds, and of course I now have come over here to get this last big pink flower done. But it is so whimsical and so fun. So that's Tom's Foolery by Hands Across the Sea. And I look forward to spending a lot more time with that. So guys, I'm going to trade out laundry baskets and I'll be right back. Bye-bye. Okay, I'm back. You guys ready? All right. Next one is, as alluded to, Simple Life. This is a mystery sal for Teresa Koget's Patreon. And I am terribly behind, but we'll keep plugging away. I am stitching this on a 36 count overcast by Cedar River linen, which you know I adore stitching on. Thank you, Jody. And I'm using the called for overdyed and DMC floss. And I don't know if this has had any work since you saw it last. But that is, I'm just trying to get down here because then I can start the house. So that is Simple Life, and there is a hashtag Simple Life Sal for this. A lot of people are stitching it. And that is by Teresa Koget. And I have a lot more overcast linen to do some exciting things with. Okay. Next we have, this is Feast of Friendship by Blackbird Designs. This is a piece that I started on August 24th a year ago for hashtag Leanne's Legacy, which is a stitch along organized by Barb of Lost and Floss to honor Leanne's memory. And I am stitching this on a 36 count vellum by Picture This Plus. I'm using the called for overdyed floss. And again, I showed this recently. I try to stitch on it on the 24th of the month. So I don't think I put any stitches in. I think I actually showed this when I was in the Bay Area house sitting for Eva. So that's Feast of Friendship by Blackbird Designs. And I love stitching on it. And it is in my project bag made by Anna, Carolyn and Anna of Curious Crafters. I'm so proud of it. Thank you guys. For those of you that don't know, on my last video, we got to have a lovely, lovely visit. And because they came over to, they live in the Bay Area as well, and they came over and picked up the boxes that Stan made. And I encourage you to go over and watch their most recent video, and you can see the box, and you can just see all the wonderfulness of their FlossTube channel. So, and I know a lot of you have already gone over and checked them out and really enjoyed it, as I knew you would. Okay, so next, this is my 7-day focus piece. This is Moonlight Sampler. I think Brijin, the museum stitcher, just wrote and said that she is kitting this up. It's by the Blue Flower. And I try to give it 7 days a month until it's finished. I am stitching it on 36 count Grape Harvest by XU Designs, and I'm using the called for overdyed floss. I also have it in another bag that was sent to me by Julie of Running with Scissors, Stitching with Jane and Julie. Her daughter, Katherine, made this one as well. This is sort of their signature bag. And this is my progress. Let's see what, because I have worked on this since you've seen it. I think I started down on the double part of the border down there. I think I got the cat finished. And I think that's probably what I've done since you saw it last. Oh, and someone did mention, I think I called this inadvertently, this little cute guy, a grouse or something, and someone said they think it's a kiwi, and I agree, because I think that's what it is. It's so cute. I just love the way she does animals. They're just a joy to stitch. So that is Moonlight Sampler. It is my focus piece. I will give it 7 days a month until it is finished. So I think I'm kind of calling this bag some of the bigger pieces and more of the samplers. So this also has Sarah Milthorpe. This isn't exclusive to Sampler Symposium of this year, the January 2023, which I got to attend. And I am stitching, trying to give it the first 7 days of the month. It didn't quite make it this month, but it did get quite a bit of stitching. I am stitching this on a 36 count cream brulee by Tabby Cat, and I am using the called for Soie silks. So, and I'm about to lose whatever. Let me stick that back in there. Okay, so this is my progress. Let's see. As you can see, I got the border all the way over here. I've taken the border down quite a bit. This medallion here, oh, that's what, I have it sideways. There we go. This is now completely finished. I have started working on this greenery down here. I got the crown done and the flower done. And again, taking the border. I think the border is all the way down on that side. This does have the verses all 1/1, and I did get the. Those are supposed to be Algerian islets on the capital T, but I did not like the way they looked, and so I have just made them crosses, which the big picture will be just fine. As I discussed with you guys last time, I sat down with Jean Farish's video number 16, where she talks about 1/1 stitching. I am trying to actively work on making that easier for me and where I can do it well. So especially for this piece. And then I know I have some 1/1 in Anne Campion, which I'll show you in a minute. And there is some 1/1 in Anniversaries of the Heart by Blackbird Designs, which I will show you in a minute, which, you know, it actually scared me away from Anniversaries of the Heart, and I don't want to be afraid to finish that. So my next 2 WIPs are my Red Thursday Sampler Month, my Thursday Red Day, you know what I'm saying. I stitch on red samplers on Thursdays. And the first one is Mary 395 by Hands Across the Sea. I am stitching this on a 36 count antique ivory Edinburgh. I'm using the Gloriana silks in poinsettia, and every once in a while I throw in a little bit of the hollyberry just to make sure I don't run out. This was also kitted at a trip to Acorn and Threads. I have been concentrating my efforts in this lower corner and may not have added too much since you saw it last, but that's where I'm concentrating. The cow has 4 legs, and this is the entire piece that I have stitched so far. So it goes all the way down, 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 and that's the bottom. So that is Mary 395 by Hands Across the Sea, and its companion is Ursilia's Sampler, which is by Samplers in My Attic. This is a piece that Jean Lee of the Attic owns, and she had this charted. It is an Italian sampler and it is beautiful. And I am stitching it on 36 count Just the Ticket by Tabby Cat using the Belle Soie silk in the tulip colorway. And let's see what, okay, I have taken, this all the way across. I came down and I did these letters here in this little motif. I'm pretty sure the chicken and the duck were completed when you saw it last. So it was mainly working in this area to get that all the way across. So this is the width of the piece. And this is Ursula's sampler by Samplers in My Attic. So at least one day a week. These each get a half a day of stitching. Next we have Oh Joyous Day by Blackbird Samplers. There are several people working on this. Brijin started Brijin of the Museum Stitcher started a stitch along, Joyous Day stitch along. Katie, the novel stitcher, is really enjoying stitching it, and it's really fun to watch Katie because I think this was her first Blackbird design, and I am confident it will not be her last. I am stitching this on 36 count Flannel Flower by Fox and Rabbit, and I don't think I put any more stitches in it since you saw it last, but I have started the house. All of this is finished down in here. I am leaving the satin stitches for last. There are some Smyrna stitches and some eyelet stitches, which I didn't seem to have as much difficulty with as I did on the Sarah Millthorpe. But the colors are just exquisite. And it's great fun. So that's Oh Joyous Day by Blackbird Design. The next one is the Smith Sampler by the Scarlet House. I got this at my trip to the attic, my first trip to the attic. This has been, is being stitched on and has been finished by Minnie. And it is always exciting to see people's interpretations. I'm stitching it on a 36 count Cottage Stone by Color and Cotton. I'm using the called for silks with the substitution of Weathered Vine for Tacna Gold, which was pretty hard to get at that time. And I'm using gassed maple, Gentle Arts maple syrup for the Woolly Bear. And this is my progress so far. Very unique border. The splashes of white are just exquisite. So that's the Smith Sampler by the Scarlet House. It is in the bag that Barry of Stitch Folk brought us all for that first retreat. The Stitch Posse. So that is the Smith Sampler by the Scarlet House. This next one is also by the Scarlet House, is Martha Evans. This is the piece that we did for Brenda's big birthday, Brenda of Brenda and the Cereal Starter. And this is the chart. I have seen some finishes recently on this that just take your breath away. which, by the way, Sherri, Colorado Cross Stitcher, most recent video, I'm pretty sure, has Tanya of the Scarlet House and as a guest. And she goes through making the traveling stitching boxes and then shows some of her samplers and her new releases. So I encourage you to check that out. And this, let's see, I am stitching it on a 40 count. This was my first piece of 40 count. Prairie Grass by Seraphim, and I'm using the called for DMC. And this is my progress so far. Again, there is just this striking, the pops of color with the red and the white. You can imagine when that whole border starts looking like that, it will just be exquisite. So that's Martha Evans, I think it's 1879, by the Scarlet House. And that is to celebrate Brenda's 60th birthday. Happy birthday all year long. The next piece was a piece that I talked to you guys about just absolutely falling in love with again, and that's A Tisket, a Tasket by Rosewood Manor. There are a lot of color changes as you stitch, and there are a lot of colors that are very close together in color. But if you, I think I just went into it with the right attitude, and the last time I stitched on this, it was just delightful. I am stitching it on a 36 count Smoky Chimney by XG Designs, and I'm using the called for overdyed flosses. And this is my progress. But you can see that the way those colors are used, once this is done, it will just be stunning. So that's A Tisket, a Tasket by Rosewood Manor. I have seen some recent finishes on this as well that are just glorious. My next one is another birthday celebration. This one was for Betsy Klager for her big birthday. I think this one was hashtag Betsy is old, Sal, but it's Little Birds by Blackbird Designs. And it is, again, it's a big one, but the stitching is just so enjoyable. I'm stitching it on a 36 count Heartland by Picture This Plus. And that is my progress so far. I think I'm pretty close to the end over here. Oh, well, no, it's going to still have border around it. So it's big. But again, just gorgeous. So it's Little Birds by Blackbird Design. And this is 36 count Heartland. So you can see that I've tried to organize these as my big pieces, my big samplers. And I have a few. Okay, next is another big one, another beautiful one, and that is the Red Deer Sampler by GGR. And I'm sure you all just recently saw that Jacob of Modern Folk Embroidery has put out a new Red Stag sampler. That is just gorgeous. I am stitching this on the rather unique 36 count 1001 Nights by XG Designs using the incomparable Vicki Clayton silks. And this is my progress. Still haven't gotten that deer finished. and lots of dangling threads. The more color changing that happens, the more the threads will be around. Let's see if we can pull those down just a little bit so you can see his face. Again, either Carolyn or Anna, I think it was Anna, has completed she just is doing this right here. And it is gorgeous. Which, you know, we talk about it, and FlossTubers talk about it, how wonderful it is that you can pull off these little motifs and stitch them as a pin pillow or just, you know, frame it itself. But they're versatile in so many ways if it's not something that you want to do the whole thing. This would be just a delight to stitch. So this is Red Deer Sampler by GGR. And I will show you my progress one more time. Trying to keep up with the border. I have been warned by many to not let that go. Okay. Next piece is Anne Campion, and that is by Hands Across the Sea. This was the second piece at the exclusive at the Sampler Symposium in January of this year. And I'm hoping to give it a lot more consideration during Black Sampler November. I am stitching it on 36 count Wood Smoke by Tabby Cat and using the Soie Brut Noir and 2942. It's primarily in black. There are just, I guess, the splashes of that. And then this is my progress. This is going to have a 1/1 alphabet, which is another reason why I am trying to get proficient at stitching 1/1. But it is it's just beautiful. And I have seen some gorgeous finishes on that as well. So that's Anne Campion by Hands Across the Sea. The next was a piece that I started on June the 19th, which is this Juneteenth Day. It is by Shaded Stitchery. I love stitching on it. I am stitching it on a 36 count summer khaki with the called for DMC. And this is my progress so far. I'm continuing to work slowly across the top to get that correctly. This represents the slave boats and the ocean. An extremely important part of our history. So that is this Juneteenth Day by Shaded Stitchery. It is also in a made by me bag with fabric that celebrates women of color. Okay. The next is the one I alluded to, and tragically, this has not been touched since I showed it in my last WIP parade about a year ago, and that is Anniversaries of the Heart. And just for the sake of time, I have all 12 of the booklets, but I don't want to show them all because that would take quite a bit of time, but this is my progress so far. I did do this in the called for colors, and I know they are a little light. This block is for my husband Stan. His birthday is in January. This block honors my cousin Bob. I lost him in the AIDS epidemic. I think this was sort of the free block. And then this one was the one that kind of got me slowed down because it has this 1/1 verse. And I have been stitching it 1/1. And this one is going to honor 2 of my aunts. And then this is, let's see, January, February, March. This is April's block. And I don't know that I've decided what I'm going to put in that one. But I'm not afraid to get back to it. That's the important part. I feel like I've gained some confidence with the 1/1 stitching, and I've done a fourth of it almost, a third of it. So there's no reason that I shouldn't get back to it. I have almost all of the threads purchased, so it's ready to go. And then the last piece in this box, of course, is sort of the mother of big pieces, and that is Pandemic by Long Dog Samplers. This is on my bed sheet, and I'm stitching this on 32 count platinum Lugana with DMC 310. I am using 1/2 threads, and this is my progress. So since you have seen it, I have been working. I have come down here. So I've done all this right over in there. I do have this on Pattern Keeper on a Kindle and enjoy that very much. But that is Pandemic by Long Dog Samplers. So, and as I share with you every time, but you may be new, this is the piece I go to after I have recorded my FlossTube, because it is very relaxing and therapeutic to stitch on. So that is mainly the basket of my big pieces, but you know, that's a few big pieces. So I'm going to stop, and I will be right back with, I think, the third and the last basket. Okay, take care. Okay, we are back, I think, for the last laundry basket of WIPs. I kind of have this one with more of my seasonal pieces in it and smaller pieces. So let's jump in and we'll see what those look like. So I think we're going to hit Christmas first, and this first one is Merry and Bright by Cottage Garden Samplings. This did get some work in July, for Christmas in July. I am stitching this on 36 count Eucalyptus by Fox and Rabbit with the called for overdyed floss. And I think you guys may have seen what I had done so far. But I did get the berries, and I have worked primarily in this area. So this is Merry and Bright. I just look at the fabric. Isn't that just gorgeous? And again, the use of colors by Cottage Garden Samplings is, to me, very appealing. Just gorgeous. So that is Merry and Bright by Cottage Garden Samplings. My next piece is the Holiday Rooster, again, which you saw recently. It's by Hemlock and Rye, which is Julie, Kansas City girl in a Colorado world. I am stitching this on 36 count Russian Tea Cake by Legacy, 37 count Russian Tea Cake by Legacy. I'm using the Swatagé 946, which is the red, and DMC 3051 for the green. And this is my progress on that, which is unchanged since you saw it in the last video. But just because we're here, I know it's not a WIP, but I have to show off too. This was, I finished this little ornament on the other end using the same colors. This is from Judy Whitman's Christmas Ornaments 5 book, which she graciously gifted me. And I just think it's so sweet. So I did get that completed in July, for Christmas in July. I actually got both of that ornament and then, you know, my little guy here got finished. Not my bigger pieces, but anyway. Next is really one of my favorites. I say that a lot, but it's Christmas Rose by Blackbird Designs. I'm going to stitch this one for my mother as well because her name is Eva Rose, and I will put her initials there. And this got quite a bit of work, but I don't know that I've worked on it since you may have seen it in the last video. But this is what I have done so far. I am stitching it on a 36 count Ren by Picture This Plus with the called for overdyed floss. I don't know how many times these flap around, but boy, Hollis Hands Create, I have purchased so much fabric from her. Great store on Etsy, wonderful service. So that is Christmas Rose by Blackbird Designs. Next is the piece that I chose to do for Any Angel Sal, which I sort of cheated just a little bit because there's actually not an angel on here, but I love this vintage alphabet by Jan Hicks Creates. And A is for Angel was my choice. And I am stitching this on 36 count Legacy, which I actually think is the called for. And this is my progress so far. I'm using the called for DMC, which is 729. What is it? I can tell you really quick. 729. The red is 498 and the green is 319. So that is, and the finishes are so cute with the cording. But that is, I know that A looks wonky, but I haven't finished the bottom right here, that A. I was just checking. Okay. So that is hashtag Any Angel Sal. I did see that Katherine of Stitching in Costume finished her angel. They were doing, she and Angi, the Tiny House Stitcher, were doing the angels from Prairie Schooler. So you can check that out on Instagram. And this is in my bag that Tammy made, Tammy Blaylock of Creative Country Girl. And this is the scissor pull or zipper fob that Katherine gave me with the angel wing on it. So that's pretty cool. The next piece is Christmas delivery. I still have a lot of work to do on this. This is Cottage Garden Samplings. And I so enjoyed seeing Deborah's finish. Katie is also, the novel stitcher is also working on this. I'm stitching it on, again, 36 count Eucalyptus by Fox and Rabbit with the call for DMC. And I don't think I've done any more since you saw it, if you saw my last FlossTube. But Santa's coming along. He's going to get there. He's going to get legs, and he'll get a sled behind him full of toys. But I love it. I just love this piece. So that's Christmas Delivery by Cottage Garden Samplings. Now this one I'm gonna have by Christmas. This is Merry Christmas by Crow's Feet Stitching. And I love it. And I am very close to a finish. I think it's just the one that kind of called to me the most. And I really gave it some time. It is stitched on a 36 count ballet slippers by Fox and Rabbit. I'm using the called for DMC. And as you can see, all I have to do is just a little more of this greenery and berries and then get Christmas in, and that one will be done. And isn't it, it's just gorgeous. The greenery is fiddly, but it's fiddly for a reason, because it gives that lacy, it's just a very pleasing aesthetic. Gorgeous design. So that is Merry Christmas by Crow's Feet Stitching. And then the second piece along with that is A Little Bit of Christmas by Samplers and Stitches. And this is what this one will look like. And it has not had any stitches recently, but we were moving along. Okay, I like the font on this Christmas. And this is on 32 count Lugana, color and cotton in warm sienna. And I'm using the called for overdyed, except I'm using 732 in place of pea pod. So I just pulled that from stash. So that is A Little Bit of Christmas by Samplers and Stitches. Okay, so we've got those. I've got a couple of Halloween pieces here. I mentioned this in my last one. This is Halloween by Not Forgotten Farm. And I have I've gotten it down to just fill in, so it's easy, and I'm close. I'm stitching this on 36 count Agave by Edinburgh, using the call for DMC. And so this is where I am. So just her face in the bottom of her dress, and the handle on the pumpkin. And those little cutie patooties will be done. So sweet. So this is a 1/2 on 32 count. So it's prim, but I like it and I enjoy it. And if I didn't say, that's agave, that's the color of the fabric. And then the second piece is also extremely close, and is the Flight. Oh, that's the chart. I can't show that. You know, I will have to put up a picture here because I don't seem to have it, the cover photo, but this is, so I think all I have is the bottom of the scissors and maybe just a couple of doodads, but, and that one will be done as well. So I should be able to get these finished for Halloween. So that's the Flight, and that is by also by Not Forgotten Farm. Okay, so those are a couple of my small Halloween pieces. The next one is Away We Ride, which as we know has a story. and this is the chart. I got quite a bit done, and had just miscounted literally all over the place, and was not fixable. So I just turned the fabric upside down, and I have restarted, and I feel really good about it because I am now stitching it border first and bands first, so that I have plenty of things to anchor those incredibly fun pieces in the middle. I am stitching this on 36 count Endora by Needle and Flax, and I am using Vicki Clayton silks. And this is my progress. So the border met, and like I said, I'm working across on bands before I go into the fun stuff. So that's Away We Ride by Blackbird Designs, which has been re-released, if I remember correctly. And I love the fabric. Endora is gorgeous and wonderful to stitch on. Okay, so that is another Halloween piece, and my final Halloween piece is Lady Halloween by Jardin Privé, and this is the chart, the front cover. I'm actually doing the monochromatic version. I'm stitching it on 36 count Mellow by Picture This Plus, and I'm using Antique Black by Soie. And this is my progress on that. So all our crazy hair is in. I love the font on the alphabet. It's a really fun piece to stitch. So that's Lady Halloween by Jardin Privé. And I will keep plugging away on that. My next piece is Eleanor Rigby by Blackbird Design. And here's the chart. This is the colorway that I am stitching. I graciously from a viewer now have all of the Beatles Blackbird Design pieces, and look forward to getting those stitched up. I'm stitching this on a 40 count Ancient by Picture This Plus using the called for overdyed floss. And it's just a little thing, but I did do some work on this recently. So I took the border all the way across, and I did a little bit down here. But that's Eleanor Rigby, which also is going to have some 1/1, which I suspect on a 40 count I will do that as a tent stitch. It's just her name. So, and of course, as you guys all know, it is housed in my most beautiful beetle bag from Peg. I am so proud of this. And all of my Beatles pieces by Blackbird Design. These are is a zipper pull made from pieces of her mom's costume jewelry. Thank you so much again, Peg. So that's Eleanor Rigby. Next is my small. This is, as you guys know, I was encouraging everyone to try to pull charts from the Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine, and that is hashtag, I'll have it below, but it's hashtag Stitch Smalls from PNPS, so that we would have them for gift giving, for retreats, to send people for a pick-me-up. And so this is the second one that I'm working on, and it is Seasons of the Heart Summer by the Blue Flower. And if you go to that hashtag on Instagram, you will see quite a few people have stitched this. It is a very popular one. And I am stitching it on a 36 count sandcastle by Coloring Cotton. And I'm using the called for DMC. And this is my progress so far. So this is Seasons of the Heart Summer by the Blue Flower. So I encourage any of you, if you're doing those, please not only put the hashtag, if you could tag me as well at Mistress Page on Instagram. They have become a little fiddly on Instagram. It's kind of hard to follow some of these hashtags. So I do want to make sure that I don't miss any of them. And I appreciate all of you that have taken part in that. Okay, so the next piece is Beautiful Things by Lindy Stitches. This is a piece that I had started, and when my oldest daughter Diane saw it, she asked if I would stitch this for her, and I said, yes ma'am, I will. And I am stitching this on 36 count earthen by Picture This Plus with the called for DMC and overdyed floss. And this is my progress so far. So pretty much got that beast of an urn done, and have started, this will be the ironwork gate. And the fun border up here is really fun. It's very colorful, and so that is Beautiful Things. And it says, oh my darling, it is true. Let me look just to make sure. Beautiful things have dents and scratches too. So that is Beautiful Things by Lindy Stitches. Next is Vince's birth announcement, and this is what it will look like. You guys saw the finished piece also by Jean. This is Nikki Pattern on Etsy. And I am stitching this on a 20 count Ada in antique white with the called for DMC. And we now have his birth date and weight and inches. He was 8 pounds 1 ounce, and actually 21 1/4 inches. So I just put 21.2. I have gotten the tree, and when I get that and bring that down, I can start doing the animals. So Adventure Awaits by Nikki Pattern. And the last one in this basket is, certainly not the least, but it is smaller, is Little Red Schoolhouse Pin Keep, 1862, by Pansy Patch Quilts and Stitchery. She has just shown some peeks of some new releases that are gorgeous. I am stitching this on a 36 count Up in the Attic by Fox and Rabbit. I am using Falou Red by Roxy Flosco. And this is, I have gotten the schoolhouse started. So I have worked on this, I think, since you guys saw it last. So that is Little Red Schoolhouse Pin Keep. by Pansy Patch Quilt and Stitchery. So, wow, we went through 3 laundry baskets of WIPs, and I hope you enjoyed that. I probably may have lost 1 or 2 along the way. Not that I'm not going to do them. I tend to be sometimes just a little disorganized. My husband, yeah, okay, I am just a little disorganized. But I think I did get everything gathered up. And it is fun to see all those projects. And the other thing that I realized from a year ago, and this goes back to all of you, both from what you have given to me and what you have made me be better at, is that last year when I did a WIP parade, everything was in a bag from Amazon. I really had no project bags that were made, and now I do. I still don't have one for every project, but I certainly have them, and I'm proud of all the ones that have been gifted to me, and I'm proud of the ones that I've made myself, because again, it goes back to this community and the wonderful people we have on FlossTube that are teaching us. Elizabeth Ann can stitch. I go to her video every time I make a project bag. There's just so much inspiration in this community, and I just feel so fortunate to be a part of it. So I wanted to take a minute to again continue to tell all of you out there to keep people in your thoughts. Just keep the prayers and the thoughts and the good vibes just out in the universe, because there are a lot of people that need them right now. I know we are again going through extreme weather conditions on the East Coast, heat in the South, and so let's just keep collectively sending all that out into the universe, and thinking of everyone, and you guys know specifically the ones that we have talked, that you are in my heart, and I know that you are being lifted up and loved by this community. So I think, like I said, minus maybe a couple of escapees from the WIP piles, that was the WIP parade. So I enjoyed doing that for you guys. So if you were new to this FlossTube, I hope you liked what you saw, and I hope you will subscribe and ring the bell and share and like and do all the things that we do on FlossTube. I want to continue to thank each and every one of you that I have had weekly and daily dialogues with through the comments. They mean the world to me, and I know you guys know that from the bottom of my heart. So the table looks relatively clear, so I'm going to ask you to grab your stitching, get comfortable, and stitch what you love. I love you all. Mwah. Until next time.